Why?
Well, you can think about it as the bigger the star, the faster it's burning through its fuel.
Mm,
So a, a massive star gives off enormous amount of energy, but that means that it has to very rapidly convert its hydrogen into helium, so it runs out of fuel much faster than a smaller star does.
interesting. Interesting. So if we were to look at a star that's going to, well, this is something that everyone's interested in life on other planets
Yes,
or
me
planets
too.
that could, like really everybody on Earth probably. Now, if we're to look at what kind of stars would have to form for a planet to form that would have life on it, these really ginormous stars, could they have planets that have life form around them?
Not very likely
Not
because
likely.
the time scales are just so short.
Right.
We don't know how long it took for life to originate here on Earth, but I would say most people would guess maybe at least 100 million years or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So if you have a star that only lives for 10 million years, that is probably not sufficient,
Makes
just
sense.
sufficient time to have a living planet around it.
Interesting. So then going off of that, you take a star like ours, or like our sun,
Yes.
but in a different solar system. What is it that a planet has to, like by chance, a planet forms? Pretty much, right?
Yeah, though by chance, it depends what you mean. We think that almost every time a star forms, planets form around it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a very efficient uh, sort of. There's planet formation is very efficient and seems to be almost universal,
Okay. Okay.
which is pretty cool.
Interesting. So then we know that the planets are forming with the stars then.
Yeah.
So then it's almost like by chance a planet would form with life, right?
Yes.
What are the chances? Well, not really what are the chances. What are the requirements that it have to have? Because it has to be like a certain distance from the sun or from its respective star, right?
Yeah. So what makes answering this question a little bit difficult is sort of just twofold. One is that we don't know exactly how life originated here on Earth, and therefore, even what is required for life that is very similar to Earth like life.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is that we don't know for sure that this is the only kind of life you can have. But so
Interesting.
to start with, I'm just going to assume um, that when we're talking about life in the universe, we're talking about something that's sort of fundamentally similar to what we have here on Earth. Fundamentally similar in that it's based on water and organic chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's good reason to assume that this is true, but we can definitely dig into it if you're interested. So if life is water based and organic chemistry based, then you'd need water and carbon to have an origins of life. Those are the most basic kind of conditions.
Right.
So if we take our random planet, for a planet to be able to sustain liquid water, it can't be too cold and it can't be too warm. So it has to be at sort of the right distance from the star. So that's one condition.
Okay.
And the other is that it can't be too small or too big. If it's too small, then it can't hold on gravitationally to the water. It will just evaporate, like Mars lost its water.
I see. Huh.
And it can't be too big, like, let's say, Neptune or something like that, because then it will retain too thick of an atmosphere and it will be too hot, and all the water will just become water vapor. So it has to be the right size and at the right distance from its star.
I see. That's so nitpicky, right? It's kind of
Yeah, it
crazy.
is a little bit Goldilocks kind of. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So then what are the chances that we even find a planet that would fit this criteria? Because I think we found some, right?
Yeah, so it is not, as it turns out, it is not as nitpicky as it might first sound, or at least it
Mm-hmm.
seems like it's not that difficult for nature to make these kind of sort of right-sized planets. Um, Estimates differ, but it's anything from a few percent to tens of percent of stars that have such a planet.
Okay.
So it seems to be a fairly common sort of outcome of planet formation to have at least one sort of Earth like planet around the star.